Hello, everyone, and welcome to Healthy Conversations. I have got the beautiful Dominique Bode with me. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Will
Yes.
correct me in a second if I'm incorrect. Beautiful Dominique has come into my world or Healthy Hub's world recently as a new member, which is very exciting. And she's got some beautiful and amazing things to offer everyone. So today I really wanted to give everyone the opportunity to meet her and to really get to learn the intricacies of who she is and what she's about and why she's in business as well, and ultimately how she can support you. So I'll let Dominique take it away. And so Dominique, please do a brief introduction of who you are, and we can go from there.
Awesome. So, yes, I'm Dominique, and I live in the northern end of the Sunshine Coast, Gympie, Queensland, Australia. It's a beautiful part of the world. I am a rapid transformational therapist, and which is RTT. It is a form of hypnotherapy, but it also amalgamates a lot of different other modalities within that. And I've been doing it now for almost 2 years, and it's been a beautiful journey, not only for my clients, but for myself. And, it's been quite a personal journey, and yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah,
Beautiful.
so, I am a single mum of two kids, and I really enjoy the flexibility and the time that hypnotherapy gives me with my family, and I just really love doing what I do. I love being there to be able to support people through more often than not, the most difficult or challenging times of their life, and to be able to be that kind of support for people is really rewarding for me. I thoroughly enjoy it. My background is I was a teacher for 20 years in high school, moved up and down through primary and high school, and did some external work with governing bodies, teaching literacy and numeracy to those people who had kind of fallen out of the system. And I got to a point where I just felt like I could do more. That there's a lot of band-aid programs out there that are kind of fixing the problem from the wrong end, I think. And I really wanted to work out how could I affect change in people at a much deeper level. And yeah, so I found RTT, and it really struck a chord with me, and I initially went through the process as a client, to work on some of my own challenges, and I found it to be really quite profound and set me on a more intentional path to healing. And so yeah, and then here I am. So yeah.
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit more about who is, like, just business aside,
Yep.
who is Dominique? Tell me a bit more about what's a journey for you? What's the life journey?
Who is Dominique? This
Yeah,
it's a
big,
that's an
broad.
evolving question. So I was born and bred in northwest Queensland. So I actually grew up on a sheep and cattle station, 44,000 acres between Townsville and Mount Isa. So I'm a country girl at heart. You can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. So that's probably why I've kind of settled in Gympie. It's a little bit of everything. I'm an avid traveller, and I've been to UK and Europe and parts of Africa and the Greek islands and stuff. So I thoroughly enjoy traveling. I think traveling is it really opens your heart and your mind to 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 the world and to different perspectives, and gives you such an appreciation for where we are and where we live, and what our opportunities are, and so travel is huge for me. So whenever I feel a little bit stagnant or lost, usually the first places I go to is the travel pages and see what's next. But like I said, I'm a mum. I have two teenagers, and they are the most brilliant humans that I know. I'm so blessed that they've chosen me to be their mum.
How old are they? Sorry.
My son is, I have a son who is almost 17, and a daughter who is 14. So
Oh, very
they're wonderful. What do I do in my spare time? It's probably not much different to what I do in my work. I am a fixer. I'm a renewer, a restorer. I love to renovate and, make things beautiful again. I'm, a bit of a stickler for recreating or renewing what already exists. I'm not much for new things. I love old things and kind of rejuvenating them and bringing life back into them. I
history
live
of things
in,
by the sound of it.
yeah. So renewing, yeah, which is what RTT is all about. It's all about renewing your mind and embedding new thoughts and beliefs and changing your life from the inside out, as within, so without, as above, so below. So in my personal life, I'm very much the same. I love to garden and renovate and just make my environment as beautiful and welcoming as I make my studio space. So that's me. Dancing, motorbike riding, like I'm quite adventurous, I suppose. and just,
Motorbike riding, are you is that like road bike, or are you talking dirt bikes or
well,
both?
both. I grew up on dirt bikes, and
Oh,
obviously
wow.
sheep and cattle mustering, they're probably my first and foremost. I find that most enjoyable. But I have had my motorbike license for over 20 years, but I've just never upgraded so that I can ride by myself on the road. So I'm in the process of doing that now. But I
Really?
haven't I
Well,
haven't
we'll have to look at having a ride. I've got my motorbike license as well.
Oh wow. So
Yeah,
you've upgraded so you can ride
I've
by
had my
yourself?
full license for since well, I was licensed in 2004, so it's been a few
Wow.
years as well. But I've ridden half of Tasmania, or pretty much circumnavigated Tasmania a couple of times, and
Oh,
then spent a lot of time from 2010 right through to 2017. I was riding all over around Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. Yeah,
oh wow, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of trying to find a bike at the moment because I'm not too sure what I want, and I don't, I'm a little bit of a it takes me a while to make a decision, but once I make a decision, I'm all over it.
Well, I
So
think we need to catch up and have a
yeah.
chat about
Yeah, we
motorbikes.
do. Yeah, we do. So yeah, so I don't yeah, haven't gone that far yet, but my family is absolutely mortified at the idea, so they won't help me.
You know what? Just tell them it's motorbike licenses will dramatically increase your abilities and your safetiness and effectiveness on the road. I
Absolutely.
see more, feel more, know more when I'm driving now, just
Yeah.
because I have my motorbike
And
license and
I
I'm
feel that
ready.
way about manual cars too. So I
Mm,
only drive a manual car, and my kids will have to drive a manual.
yeah,
That's my rule. But I feel like I'm more in control and have a better understanding when I have to, you know, put a clutch in and change a gear and use all of my senses. Yeah.
yeah, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
Completely
but
agree.
um, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. A friend of mine, she's also upgrading. So yeah, upgrading our license, and she's already gone and got a bike. And I'm like, she's like, hurry up, and I'm getting there. I just haven't found one, or I have found. There's this beautiful the new Indian
Yeah.
that's come out, or is it? No, it might be a Triumph. I can't remember, but I really love it. But there's no secondhand ones yet, and I just don't
Oh,
quite want to
yes.
pay the full price. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I'm not really I don't know what you've got, but I don't like leaning over
Yeah, old
I don't
sports
like,
bikes. But
yeah,
a friend of mine had a Triumph. There's street triple, sorry, and street and a speed triple. So
I,
he
okay,
had the street triple, which is actually a 675,
yeah,
a little bit smaller, but it's more of an upright, naked bike.
yep,
Kind of my version of a cafe racer, but probably not everyone's version. Like
yeah,
it's super nimble, sounds amazing,
yeah,
um, right height as well, because again, a lot of bikes were made quite well. They're
yeah.
obviously a little bit different now, but when I was riding, it was a lot for me to actually try and kick my leg over and try and touch my feet on the ground. It
Yeah,
was
I know,
almost
because I've got Dutch
impossible.
disease.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just like, how are you supposed to ride? Well, when I started riding, they didn't even really have much women's gear. So
no,
I ended up in men's boots, men's pants. They hardly had any range of helmets.
yeah,
So it was just your generic black because everything else
yeah.
didn't fit me because my head is, I can't complain of a big head. I might, because I was an extra small in my helmet. And you didn't get those because, again, a lot of women didn't ride. It was predominantly male. So,
Yeah, my
lots to
friend's the
choose.
same. She's extra small. I've
Yeah.
worked out I'm small or medium small,
Yeah.
depending on obviously
On the
brands. But
brand. Yeah.
so yeah, so I'm in the process of doing that. So I'm really
Exciting.
excited about that. And obviously, I've been on bikes my whole life, and I've had my actual license since my actual learners since I was 17. So
Yeah.
I just never got
It's
around
time.
to upgrading. And then when I had kids, I kind of went into a little bit of a shell and kind of went, oh, that might be a bit dangerous, you know. And but that's okay, you know. You kind of go through these, you know, life journeys, and it's exciting. It's something exciting to do. So yeah, so and probably the other big passion is dancing and music. You know, I spend a lot of time, you know, watching live music, local bands, local acts, and partner dancing in particular is probably one of
What do
my
you do?
greatest.
What dance?
Oh, anything really. I've never been formally trained. I just lots of jive and salsa and just, you know, I don't care really
You'll just make it up
if
on the
there's a
dance floor at the
if there's a
time.
gorgeous man willing to hold me on the dance floor. I actually doesn't. Actually, in fact, he doesn't have to be gorgeous. He just, if he wants to hold me on the dance floor, I'm all for it.
Oh, it's
Um,
actually interesting because I'm in the process of working out my downtime activity, and dancing has come up for me. So I was looking at joining like a Latino dance
Yeah, yeah.
group.
So I
So
used to travel to the Sunshine Coast, and I had a dance class that I used to go to. I just haven't been able to fit it in,
yeah,
and so it's yeah, but it doesn't matter. I just go to the local pub because there's one pub in town that has live music every weekend, so I just always frequent, and I just get up and dance, whether it's by myself or with or with somebody, it doesn't really matter. So they
well,
always
count
they
me in. We'll dance with each other. I'll
yeah,
come up
yeah,
for
for
a
sure,
visit.
for sure. And usually I'll rope some old fella up. I'll just find like one of the old locals. I'll be like, oh, come and have a dance with me. So
And
so
did
yeah.
I see you singing on one of your?
Oh yeah, singing as well. So when I grew up, I used to sing in country music festivals as a young girl. But over time, my voice has I've kind of lost my you know, use it or lose it kind of thing. So, but more into the last couple of years, I've started to sing a lot more. So I go to karaoke quite a lot, and just to sing. But because I follow a lot of the local acts around, that sometimes I'll chuck me in the deep end and say, just jump up and sing a song with us. And it's like, I apologize to the audience in advance, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm like, you
I
know,
love that.
I just love doing it, and it just takes me back to my childhood a little bit, and I think it's all a part of that whole journey of finding your voice, and not not only finding it, but it's like anything, you've got to maintain it. So
And
it's
there's
all
something
part of
about
that.
that. facing a fear and doing it anyway, like
Yeah,
finding it and doing it. And so to me, it's almost like maybe it's not as scary for you, but I definitely feel like there's a part of it that's adrenaline, like there's the adrenaline that comes from that, like motorbike riding,
yeah,
it's the same.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
found
Well,
something
yeah.
that
So
peaks.
motorbike riding for me, I find is it's probably the most freeing. I feel very free on a motorbike. Probably the
Yes.
closest thing I've felt to flying.
Yes.
And I've done bungee jumping, and I've done, jumping out of an aeroplane and
Yeah.
parachuting and all that. So, but riding a bike feels
Yep.
the most freeing experience.
Yep.
Dancing for me is a lot more. Um, it's a lot more intimate for me. It's a connection with
Yeah.
somebody, even if it's not an intimate, as in a relationship or
Yeah.
love. It's that connecting with another soul. It's a very intimate, and singing, however, is more of an emotional expression. They're all very different.
Mm.
So riding is a very physical freedom for me. It's the wind on your skin. It's the holding of a bike. It's the control. So it's a very 3D
Mm.
expression. Where dancing is a very spiritual one. Singing is a very an emotional one.
Mm.
So it's finding avenues to express all of those areas that make the whole.
Yeah.
Intellectual for me is I'm a very big avid reader, and love to journal. So that's my intellectual expression, I
Yeah.
guess. And it does encompass the emotional and spiritual as well. But yeah, so I think for me, it's very much having an avenue in all of those areas of our life,
Yes.
have expression, and finding balance in
I
all of
love
those
that.
areas. Yeah. And then of course there's gardening and landscaping, and
Yes.
I
The
love,
renewing.
yeah, the renewing, which is just and I go through phases, where I'll find a project and kind of immerse myself into that project, and then I don't really get to do anything else. And then I'll kind of pull back and go, oh, hang on a minute, I haven't danced in a while, or I haven't sung a song in a while,
Yeah.
or whatever. And but singing for me definitely is whatever mood or emotion that I need to work through will determine what song I sing, and it heavily helps process that. And if I don't always have someone to share that with, sharing it to an audience is equally as,
Yes.
yeah,
So tell me, how is it that you come about RTT? Like, where were you at that time to be able to search? If it's okay to
yeah,
ask, and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
open to
So,
sharing.
um, so I went through a divorce 10 years ago, and I suppose that probably that is where I consciously became aware that the journey had begun
Yes.
in me. I look back and go, yeah, there were signs where the universe kind of shook me up prior to that, but I ignored. So, but probably 10 years ago is where the journey started. It's where I became really conscious that as humans I needed growth.
Yes.
And I went through a series, I probably started off where everyone starts off with, through psychology and just starting talk therapy. And then that I did that for a number of years, but quickly became aware that it was that particular journey was coming to a close as well. And I went, oh God, I just, how do you, can't one thing just fix it? Like,
Yes.
and so I
Yeah.
started realizing that, well, as a teacher, I knew that not one teacher was conducive to all students, and not one subject was going to be right for everyone, and not all schools were the same for each. And so I started going, okay, I'm a student of the world. I'm a student of life. I need to look at other avenues, and so I went down the rabbit hole, so to speak, of different modalities. But I found it, actually found it quite challenging to find what was right. So I had to kind of trust my intuition and sort of,
Mm.
you know, find different modalities. And back when, even 10 years ago, spiritual expos weren't really a big thing. Well-being expos weren't really a big thing. You know, you might go to a market and there'd be, you know, a tarot reader, or there'd be a Reiki master, or something, and
Psychic.
kind of, yeah, and kind of, did that fit? You know, so I went to a lot of tarot readers and mediumships and all that kind of stuff to try and give me direction. And then I stumbled across NLP,
Yes.
and that was quite profound. And had a session with that, and that is probably where my where I started realizing that there was a lot of untapped energy and untapped memories
Mm.
internally. And I went,
Like
oh,
subconscious
yeah,
thing.
subconscious. And but I went back for a second and third with NLP and just found it didn't work again. You know,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay.
You're back here again.
I'm back here again. And so but it was, you know, it was beautiful. And so it just kept leading me and leading me and leading me. And then got into I got into a long-term relationship a couple years after my divorce. And this relationship was my mirror, I suppose.
Yeah.
My marriage wasn't tumultuous. My marriage wasn't full of arguments or anything. It just kind of dissolved. Where this was my mirror, the relationship that I went into, and it was difficult and painful, and full of lessons and full of learning, and full of growth. And so when I came out of that, I really needed a modality that not only was going to tackle all the belief systems and the new learnings, to process the new learnings, but I also needed a practice to follow on after.
Yes.
And so RTT is an amalgamation of talk therapy, NLP, kinesiology, and traditional hypnotherapy. And so and CBT, so your traditional talk therapy. So,
Cognitive behavioral
yeah,
therapy. Yeah.
yes, correct, cognitive behavioral therapy. And so I really, that appealed to me because it pretty much for me encompassed everything that I'd already, and you know, used myself and to explore my own journey. And what I loved about it is it's a very personalized, it's very fast. So with a lot of talk therapy, you relive the trauma or relive the experience, because you go away and then you come back and you've got to start all over again. And so RTT is very rapid. That is called rapid transformation. It's we want to know about the trauma, but we want to skip through that very quickly, and we want to move on to the emotional residual energy that's left behind. And so I went through that process myself, and then at the end they give you a very individualized, personalized recording, and that recording then becomes a part of your meditation and hypnosis practice
Yes.
that you continue on with. And so I loved that. I loved that there was going to be this recording that I could always go back to if I needed to, and was always there to help me on the journey until the next session, or until such a time that I didn't need it anymore, because the thoughts were actually being regenerated on their own. And it's heavily based in neuroscience, you know, with neuroplasticity and how we change our brain. And with certain recordings, things started to then a change on my own. You know, I'd be driving in the car and all of a sudden I was thinking something different to what I would normally be thinking. And I'd be like, oh, wow, you know, like I'm actually thinking really positive thoughts, or I'm thinking something really happy and it's made me happy. And I would look back in my past and go, I would never have thought that. You know, I would have been thinking about how traffic's rubbish and these people are cutting me off, and now I'm sitting there thinking they didn't use their blinker, but maybe something's going on for them. Maybe their mum's in hospital, or maybe they're in a rush to get somewhere, and I'm like, oh, who is this person? I wouldn't have thought this way before. And so I realized, wow, these recordings are working. Sometimes you get an immediate change, and other times it's very reflective, and you can look back and go, oh wow, I'm thinking these thoughts on my own now without the support of the recording. And so I went, wow, this is profound change and long-term change. But not only is it a change, it is a practice, and it's something you can always go back to, and it's something that you can let go for a time, but then you know you can pick it up again. And what I also love about it is there's this real intention that I don't want my clients back over and over again. You know, I want there to be a change that then wants them to progress to potentially a different modality, or into a different frequency, you know, where they're
It's
not
almost
having,
like they've upgraded, so they're on a new journey, so therefore they have the ability to branch out where they feel appropriate for
yeah,
themselves.
yeah. And
Yeah.
depending on the level of conditioning or trauma, you know, in their life, they may need to come back for more than one session and get a new recording and sort of evolve from there.
Absolutely.
But the intention and the goal is for it to be a transformed process so that they don't have to keep coming back,
Yes.
you know.
And I
And
love that as well, because it's almost like the intention is to support a client to have the best, most effective outcome that they can have in the shortest possible way.
yeah,
So therefore, opposed to old business methods where it's like, oh, I need to have a client forever and a day, you're doing the opposite of that, because you're able to as well with the modalities that you have,
yeah,
and obviously who you are as a person as well. So that combined
yeah.
creates a really, really beautiful experience for a client.
Yeah, and you want the experience to be transformational but memorable, in the sense that, you know, it's no different to when you take on an experience in life and go, oh, I'm going to go to this venue and experience this
Yes.
event. How often have we then gone, well, I'm going to go back and do it again and the experience not be the same, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think there's this real, the beauty about RTT, or can be, is that you have this really profound transformation,
Mm.
and it prepares you or transitions you to move into another modality at a higher frequency
Mm.
to progress you, because ultimately our journey is one of progression, or should be one
Yes.
of progression. I don't want my clients to come and stay stuck in this particular frequency. You know, that there should be that intention that they're going to grow and move to another modality at a higher frequency, to move them to another part of their journey and of
Yeah.
their personal profile, and you know, and sort of experience that. And it's exciting because that's how I am.
Mm.
You know, I obviously practice RTT and hypnotherapy, but I'm always looking for other modalities that are going to support my journey, or to support my growth, or raise my frequency, my vibration,
Yes,
you know.
yes. And it's beautiful because what do they say? It's like you can only support what you've been through. So
Correct, yeah,
in order for you are doing the work required to raise where you're at in the sense of vibration, learning, experience, growth. And so that then gives you greater abilities to serve your clients that you work with as well, which is also beautiful to hear, because some people stop and then that's it. Whereas you're progressing the growth, you're um, embracing the growth, which can only serve your clients in a bigger and even more broader way. So I
yeah,
love that for you too. That's
yeah.
really
There's
awesome.
this beautiful quote or story about Mother Teresa where I think a mother brought her daughter to Mother Teresa and said, my daughter won't eat. I can't remember what the specific story is, but my daughter won't eat. I can't get her to eat. And Mother Teresa says, go away for 2 weeks and then come back. And the mum's like, what do you mean go away for 2 weeks? And she says, well, I have to stop eating so that I can support your child. So I know
Yeah.
how to support her.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and the mother's kind of like, oh, okay. So it is that beautiful, and I do find that with my clients, I attract a lot of clients without knowing it, that are a direct reflection of what my journey is in some
Or
way,
has
shape,
been, yeah.
or has been in some way, shape, or form. And it's a beautiful thing because then you it reflects the growth in me, number one, but
Yes.
it also it brings this beauty in the fact that I have absolute confidence in knowing that I can support them.
I
And that's
love
and
that.
that's what the clients want. They want to know that they can be supported,
Yes.
and that I have the ability to support them. And it for me, I know I'm good at what I do,
I love that for
you
you.
know,
That's
and
beautiful.
and I know that they're in safe hands with me, you know.
So with that, how are clients presenting to you? Like what are, if it's okay to discuss some of their situations, what are they going through? What are their experiences? What are some of the words are associated with your clients that are reaching out to you?
Yeah, I guess what I find the most is people are at a point of of desperation, that they've tried everything in mainstream in mainstream health, and they're just at a point where they need the shift to happen.
Mm,
And I get also a lot of clients where they've done a lot of work already, and they're quite inspirational already, whether or not they've overcome an addiction, or they've got their body to a certain place where, but they're still stuck and they want that change. And really what it comes down to is the physically made the change. So there's often two types of clients. There's the physical change, and now they absolutely have to change their mindset, otherwise they're going to go back. Or there's the people that have gone, I've changed my mind, but I don't know how to transfer that into the 3D.
the
There's
physicality.
still a deep seated, all
Yes.
of it comes back to a deep seated belief that needs to be adjusted.
It's that
But
decision.
it depends what, what area they've come from. So usually it's a point of I've tried everything and I'm
Mm.
exhausted.
And so
And
what about is it so you mentioned addiction, you mentioned body changes. What are they looking to do? Like are they um, alcohol addiction, drug addiction? Is it they just know that they've got a negative mindset, or they need to shift their mindset
yeah,
to overcome new growth? Like what are some of those things that what are the situations that are needing to be rectified or supported?
yeah. So I get a varying, I wouldn't, the probably my the most common is relationship trauma. Toxic relationship would probably be the most common, or wanting to attract different. So they might have finally got themselves out of a situation and they've become aware that every time someone approaches them, they're picking up on the same traits. And so they're like, I need that to change. And they've come to this understanding that, okay, what is it that I'm doing wrong?
Yeah.
You know, and they want that to change. So relationship trauma and childhood trauma, because often that they're one and the same, we attract often from our wounded child. So that is probably the main area that I see, and they're just at a point of exhaustion. They go, I don't know what else to do, and they feel that feeling of being very lost and stuck in a space and time of their life that they don't know how to transition. But it varies.
Yes.
Addiction, drug and alcohol is probably the biggest. Weight loss, food, so drug, alcohol and food.
Smoking?
Smoking, yes, but I probably haven't, and it's an interesting thing. I haven't received a lot of clients for smoking. I have successfully helped clients with smoking, but again, that's probably because I'm not a smoker and never have been. And so again, we often attract our own story.
Yes.
Have helped clients and been successful in doing it, because RTT is such a wonderful modality for that. But that's not probably my bread and butter. Yeah. And so yeah, addiction, weight, drug and alcohol, and relationship, toxic relationship, grief. Grief is a big one. So, you know, people who have lost loved ones and really struggling to move on from that, and people who, so loss of children, loss of pregnancies, loss of a partner through death, or, you know, or a serious accident, or a traumatic illness, something, along the lines of, you know, motor neuron or something like that, something where they've had to watch a very slow and painful process of loss, you know. And because then that becomes a conditioning. When you've watched a loved one die very, very slowly and painfully, in a way that we wouldn't even put our animals through.
Yes.
That then becomes a conditioning. So it becomes chronic, a chronic embedding of grief. And so that takes a while to undo, because it's the conditioning now. It's not that I, you know, grief is grief and loss is loss. But when it's sudden, sorry, love, there's been an accident on the motorway and they're gone. Sudden. The grief is different, but the grief is still there. But it's intense, and it's happened. The chronic grief of months, years of watching somebody deteriorate, dementia, you know, all that kind of stuff. You then truly you're embedding that grief deeply inside you, as you would as a child, being conditioned to live a certain way or believe something a certain way, and as an adult it's much harder to change that when you have, you know, a chronic
That's definitely
grief.
something that, you know, obviously is worthwhile of having a conversation with you around those sorts of things. So anything else outside of grief as well?
Look, I can pretty much tackle anything, you know, and it doesn't always have to be the challenge of grief or hurt or pain or addiction. You know, I have a lot of younger clientele come to me, particularly, you know, a lot of our younger clientele are coming into a world with a lot more profound understanding about being conscious. So I do get a lot of clientele around performance based, how can they get more out of their journey, whether or not they're moving into uni and that they want to be a doctor, and so they want to understand how can I get the best performance out of learning and growth to be the best that I can be, and to make sure that they're eliminating any unhealthy belief systems before they move into their career.
I think that would be amazing too. I mean,
Yeah, and because I've got a teacher background, I find that very exciting. And a lot of people going through their journey, they've come out of a divorce, they've kind of got their life together, and they're going, what is it that I never did that I really want to do? And so, I've had gentlemen come going, oh, I really want to branch out into this area, but I've just not got quite the confidence to do it. And so working with them to go, you can, you're not too old. You can push yourself into that arena. And
it's almost like limiting beliefs.
Absolutely.
In order to achieve an outcome that may be different to what you to follow those dreams, to do the things, to be able to achieve new heights within business, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, amazing.
Or enhancing a hobby, whether that hobby is, CrossFit, or whether that hobby is motorbike riding, or whether that hobby is push bike riding, whatever that hobby is, and they want to move into racing or a professional arena, or something that requires them to train more, or they want to how do I overcome that? But I probably get a lot more around the academic side, because I understand that their brain needs that.
Changing the neurological pathways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that.
And looking at the whole, I'm going to say it wrong, the self-regio frequencies, and what frequency. So when I create the recording, it's really important that I put a high vibrational frequency with the recording.
Yes, I love that you do that, actually.
And so that it's going to support that transformation. And so that, because that can be a little bit of there's not a lot of people don't have that knowledge around the frequencies. And so there are a lot of meditations out there where it's beautiful music, but if their frequency is at the 400 megahertz or whatever, and which doesn't enhance healing or isn't at the right frequency to support what you're doing, then that can often be counterintuitive.
I feel like there's another podcast coming up around frequencies, because frequencies and sound is amazing. And we're obviously talking just beforehand in relation to wanting to hear the sound of drums, wanting to hear the sound of singing bowls. So frequency has a lot. I'm actually downloading, I don't even know how to say it. So what was
Solfeggio.
That tone. I'm looking to download that and incorporate that in some of the Healthii Hub bits and pieces. So I want to cap it off here at the moment. What I don't know, what is something, a takeaway that has been a short takeaway that has been impactful for you in your journey that you can give to the clients listening today? I'll put you on the spot now.
Well, obviously, as within, so without. Our thoughts change our actions, and our actions will change our life. That's probably one of the big things. But I guess more recently, I just actually had a conversation last night, is is to always, I guess, every day when I present myself into the world, because the reality is we've got to, you know, present ourselves into the world, is my challenge is always someone else's fantasy.
Yes.
So we have to choose our perspective. You know,
Yes.
so
That then taps into that what you think is what you become.
yeah, because a great example of that is my challenge of receiving my rates in the mail. You know, oh, okay, is somebody else's fantasy. My rates means that I have a home.
Yes.
I have a home that is mine, that I can do
Yes.
whatever I want with, that shelters my family, that, you know, brings me great joy. And so when I receive a rates payment, I actually bless it, and I'm very thankful that I have to
Yeah.
pay thousands of dollars,
Yes.
you know, so that I have my garbage collected,
Yes.
so that I have power, so that, you know, I have water that's running and clean, you know, and because there's someone else out there that doesn't have that. That's their fantasy. That
I
is a
love
dream.
that.
That is a dream that they couldn't possibly imagine having.
It's a great, and I feel the other word is perspective.
Yeah, so choose your perspective, you
Yeah,
know.
you can, and yeah, being aware that you might be feeling one thing, but
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
perspective and can you flip that,
yeah,
what's the fantasy of somebody else? I love that. That's
yeah.
beautiful.
And a lot of people go, "Oh, is your glass half full or half empty?"
Yeah.
It's not about that. Our glass will
No.
always be half full or half empty. I have a glass. You
I
know,
love
I
that.
have a glass because life is about ups and downs. Life is about being full sometimes and empty others. It's
Yes.
not about if the glass is full or empty. Do
Yes.
you
That's
have a
the
glass?
duality of life. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And if we focus too much on the good or the bad, you know, the fact is you have a glass that you can fill
Yes. Yes. Yes.
or
Yes.
that you can empty. You know, so it's the half full and half is actually a limiting perspective. You know,
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
it's so I think always having that perspective is most important, you know. And I had one
Mhm.
with a beautiful girlfriend who was struggling with her boyfriend and about the toilet seat and
The good old toilet seat.
the good old toilet seat. And I said, I look at a toilet seat up and I choose the perspective I have now is it means I have a man in the house.
Yes.
You know, I have a man that's sharing my life, you know, and
Yeah.
you know,
That is that's
I
it.
don't,
It's
I
all
don't have a man in my life, but you know, I now look at it and go, If the toilet seat's up, it means that I do, and
yeah.
I'm very appreciative of that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's yeah, choose your perspective
Take
is
away.
is probably at the moment, because that is something that you can do in the moment.
Yes.
Changing our mind takes time.
Yes.
Changing our neuroplasticity takes time. But
So then it's about the
choosing your
question in the moment, going, what is my perspective here?
yeah,
To
or
have
and
that.
what is my perspective, and does that perspective need to be changed?
Yes.
You know, what do I need to choose differently? Because we're all human still, so we can often still walk into a space and immediately have a perspective that is possibly judgy or, you know,
Yes.
possibly
Victim mentality. I have a few
victim.
of those.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Because we're still
We're having a
living
human experience.
human experience, and so it's like, okay, you know, choose choose the perspective that you want to have. You
I
know,
love that. Well, thank you very
yeah.
much for having that
No, you're
share. I think
welcome.
it's a very beautiful one. So there's a couple of different probably a couple of perspectives in there. Or here we are, learnings, lessons. So
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah.
thank you, thank you.
You're
So
welcome. Thank you for
Dominique
having
is,
me.
yeah, thank you. Dominique is actually available to have a look at her profile through the Healthii Hub. That will be connected in as well on all platforms that we have this viewable on. So I can't wait for everybody to meet Dominique, to have a session with Dominique. I think I'm actually going to have a session with Dominique as well. So I'm very much looking forward to learning about RTT and how it can add value to my world, and well, not even add value, but to raise me up. I'm at the point where I want to be. I too need to have, as we said before, we all need to work through some of our things. So I'm looking forward to catching up. I think we need to have a session. So we'll talk later. So Dominic, thank you so much for being here on Healthii Conversations. I can't wait to share this with everybody and to obtain some feedback as well. So thank you.
Thank you, darling. Have a great day. Mwah.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy, and we'll talk soon.